Top lane is the core focus of 13.1, with nerfs to OP champs like Fiora and Mundo, while these Jace buffs are looking pretty insane. Welcome back everyone to the very first SkillCapped tier list of Season 13. If you're new here, my name is Dan, and I'll be your host as we break down everything you need to know for 13.1. With the help of our challenger players and analyzing the most recent data, we strive to bring you guys the most accurate and up-to-date scoop on the solo queue meta each and every patch. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Let's start things off by covering the item and rune changes for 13.1. Axiom Arc is by far the least popular lethality item, so it's going to be buffed. Lethality is increased from 10 to 18. On a select few champions like Nocturne, Pyke, and Ashe support, this change may actually be enough to move the needle and make Axiom a viable purchase. Taking a look at some statistics prior to the buffs, Axiom is actually winning more than any other second purchase for Nocturne. That being said, with Ravenous as strong as it is and Bruiser Nocturne being more reliable, we don't expect lethality Noct to suddenly become the best way to play him. We'll be sure to keep an eye on how Axiom performs throughout the patch, but our initial assessment is that the item will be good on select champs but remain quite niche. Horizon Focus has been outclassed by Shadow Flame for a while now, so Riot has buffed it for 13.1. Ability power is going from 85 to 100. This means Horizon and Shadow Flame will now have the exact same amount of ability power. So which item will deal more damage now? Let's hop into Practice Tool to find out. Against a squishy target with only 40 magic resist, Shadow Flame will be dealing slightly more damage than Horizon Focus. What about against a tank though? We find the exact same results. Shadow Flame continues to deal more damage even when the target has more resists. To be fair, the damage isn't an insane amount higher with Shadow Flame, and Horizon Focus does offer 15 ability haste, while Shadow Flame provides none. Just based on gold value, the items should be very similar in power now, however, Shadow will still deal more damage. As if Kassadin wasn't a disgustingly OP champion already, Riot will be buffing Rod of Ages for 13.1. The item definitely needs a buff, but Riot will for sure need to look into toning down Kassadin in 13.2. Health of the item is going from 300 to 400. Passive resources restored to proc the movement speed is going from 250 to 200. Movement speed amount is up from 25 to 35%. Riot has also stated there will be a few bug fix changes added as well. Anivia and Kassadin are two champions to really watch in 13.1. Both were already performing extremely well in solo queue before these buffs, so we expect them to be exceptionally strong to start Season 13. Winter's Approach will receive a few simple buffs with the cost lowered from 2,700 to 2,600 gold and the health going from 350 to 400. Nice buff to Taric, who is one of the few champions that builds Winter's Approach on a regular basis. A few top lane tank picks like Gragas, Malphite, Ornn, Maokai, and Sho'Gath can look to benefit from these buffs as well, but by no means will they become much stronger off the back of these changes. Riot has the Jock Show changes listed as adjustments, but they are definitely nerfs to bruiser or fighter champions abusing the item. Cost is going from 3,100 to 3,200. Resist stack is going from 2 per second plus 15% total resist at max stacks to 2 per second plus 20% bonus resist at max stacks. Drain amount is changed from 3% max health to 80 plus 7% max health. The resist stack change will definitely hurt bruiser champions a lot more as they don't stack a ton of bonus resists. As for the drain change, it's a buff to both fighter and tank champions, but definitely a more substantial buff to champs that stack health. All in all, we expect the changes to be pretty neutral for tanks and slightly negative for fighters. However, we can't see the item losing a ton of power off these adjustments. Seraph's changes are looking pretty spicy, with the cost going up in exchange for a bunch of added stats. From 2,600 to 3,000 gold is the cost change. Ability power is up from 60 to 80. 10 ability haste will be added to the item as it previously had none. Instead of granting haste equal to 1.3% bonus mana, the item will now grant AP equal to 2.5% bonus mana. The Empyrean healing passive is being removed and replaced with the Lifeline passive, where you get a 250 plus 20% current mana shield. Just based off gold value, 20 ability power is worth 435 gold, so the cost going up by 400 is worth it from that change alone. Of course, a cost increase means you'll be delaying your spike, but once you finish Seraphs, you'll definitely be stronger than before. The only definitive nerf we have to items and runes this patch is to Legend Tenacity. The tenacity per stack is going from 2.5 to 1.5%. This will definitely hurt less mobile champions like Urgot, Mordekaiser, Illaoi, Nasus, and Garen the most. These are the kind of buffs Jace mains have been waiting for, as Riot will be significantly amplifying his early game damage. AD is going from 54 to 57. Melee W damage per tick is up by 10 at all ranks. Melee Q damage is going from 55 scaling to 280 to 65 scaling to 315. Since you max Q out first on Jace, the added 35 damage at level 9 will be pretty impactful. Jace will be starting off Season 13 in the most powerful spot he's seen in over a year as a good A tier pick. Sion has been one of the worst statistical top lane performers in preseason, so a couple buffs are headed his way. Base health is going from 615 to 655. Q max damage is up by 20 at all ranks. Sion's win rate is definitely being skewed quite hard right now due to how poorly lethality is performing. Tank builds are around 50%, while lethality builds are sitting at 44%. If everyone just built Sion as tank, he's definitely not as terrible as his win rate may suggest, and with these buffs, we will be moving him from B into A tier. Moving on to the top lane nerfs, Aatrox is being hit from a couple different angles. Passive damage drops from 5 scaling to 12% to 4 scaling to 10%. E healing during R is going from 25 scaling to 45 to 20 scaling to 36. R movement speed takes a hit as well, going from 60 scaling to 100% to 50 scaling to 80%. 13.1 nerfs will be the killing blow to Aatrox as a premier top lane carry. Jockshow being nerfed negatively affects Aatrox as well, so there's going to be many more optimal top lane carries. We'll be moving Aatrox from S all the way down into B tier for 13.1. Riot has a few nerfs lined up for Mundo, starting with his base health being lowered from 653 to 613. Armor growth is down from 4.2 to 3.7. E bonus AD is being lowered by 0.5% max health at all ranks. Considering Mundo's power level prior to these nerfs, we don't expect him to lose a ton of strength. Mundo will remain an OP tier for now. Fiora will be losing damage on her passive with the bonus AD scaling going from 4.5 to 4%. Q damage bonus AD drops as well, being lowered by 5% at all ranks. Nerfs to bonus AD scaling means these changes don't impact how Fiora plays throughout the early levels much at all. Snowballing into the Ravenous spike won't be much more difficult. It's once you pick up those items where you'll feel the nerfs the most. Fiora will become slightly weaker off the back of these nerfs, but she's not going to be removed from meta. OP to S is where we will be moving Fiora on the tier list. K'Sante has been dominating the higher elos in recent patches, so a few nerfs are being issued. Base movement speed drops from 335 to 330. Passive damage is down from 10 scaling to 25 to 5 scaling to 20. W minimum max health damage is being lowered from 4.25 scaling to 5.25% to 2 scaling to 3%. W max health damage is being lowered from 8.25 scaling to 9.25% to 7 scaling to 8%. Definitely some pretty impactful nerfs that will be affecting K'Sante's tier list placement for 13.1. We will be moving K'Sante down from S into A tier. Taking a look at the top lane tier list, Mundo, Shen, and Darius will be the best carries to start Season 13. One of the more underrated S tier picks for 13.1 is Zac. The demonic embrace with Heartsteel core is giving him a ton of power right now. If you guys want to learn more about the pick, our challenger top laner Strompist has a brand new full game commentary highlighting Zac top on our website. Watch out for Cassiopeia top lane as well as a very sleeper OP champ for 13.1. Cass does insanely well into all the melee top laners that were nerfed, and with the Rod and Seraph's buffs, she's getting a whole lot stronger. The best low elo top laners to start the season are Mundo, Mordekaiser, and Nasus. Highest value bans of the patch will be Fiora, Darius, and Mundo. AP Shaco has been far superior to AD Shaco for a while now, so Riot is looking to combat that in 13.1. Q mana cost is going from 60 to 40. Q backstab crit will be increased from 30 to 40%. EAD ratio is being increased from 75 to 80%. Nothing major here and not buffs that will drastically move the needle for Shaco, but he will be slotting in as a good A tier jungle option. The only other jungler being adjusted for 13.1 is going to be Rammus. A couple nerfs are penciled in with Rammus' AD going from 56 to 53. Base health drops from 634 to 614. W percent bonus resists now amps flat resist from W. W armor drops from 40 to 25. W percent armor scaling is going from 60 scaling to 100 to 40 scaling to 100. Taking into account Rammus' power level prior to these nerfs, he should remain a relatively strong jungler. With that being said, we no longer see Rammus as an OP pick, so we'll be adjusting him down into S tier for 13.1. The biggest shakeup to the jungle tier list for 13.1 is Maokai becoming an OP pick. Along with Maokai, we have Master Yi, Evelynn, Echo, and Udyr as the most optimal jungle carries. Koreans especially have been hard spamming Maokai jungle in solo queue ever since his 12.23 buffs, where his clear speed became substantially faster. This, coupled with Maokai's ability to abuse a demonic embrace rush, has put him in a godlike spot for solo queue. It's actually full AP Maokai you're playing as well, with demonic and Liandry's being the two core items. Don't make the mistake of maxing E out first, as Q is far superior. If you want an easy yet effective jungler to start your ranked climb in Season 13, there's really nobody better than Maokai. Best low elo junglers to climb the fastest are Mundo, Mordekaiser, and Rammus. Mord is such a broken pick for the lower ranks right now that we created a dedicated course on how to smash games with the champ, so it's a great resource if you're looking to level up your game. As for the most optimal jungle bans, we have Master Yi, Udyr, and Evelynn on top of the list. We have a few direct changes for mid lane in 13.1, starting with Lissandra. Base health per level is going from 104 to 110. Q slow is being increased from 16 scaling to 28% to 20 scaling to 36%. W cooldown drops from 14 scaling to 10 seconds to 12 scaling to 8 seconds. W buff is definitely the big one here, as 2 seconds off throughout skirmishes can be a huge deal. Playing against melee champs that want to dive on you, having W up more often can really nullify their power. Liss won't be moving into a top tier position as a result of these buffs, but we will be shifting her from B into A tier for 13.1. Twisted Fate has become a bit of a stun bot, prioritizing rapid fire cannon over ability power, so Riot is looking to amplify damage potential. Q cooldown drops from 6 seconds at all ranks to 6 scaling to 5 seconds. W blue card to AP ratio is being increased from 90 to 115%. W red card ratio is going from 60 to 70%. Blue card has always dealt more damage than gold and red card, but that small increase in damage was not often worth the trade-off of no CC. With a 25% increase on the blue card AP ratio, your one-shot power goes up significantly, and don't forget this helps with TF's split push power as well. Taking towers with blue card and Lichbane procs will be even faster now. Fire Cannon had become the staple second item on TF, but with these buffs, it's going to put Lichbane in a much stronger spot. TF is also a champ who's been using the new Rod of Ages, so with Rod buffed in 13.1, that's another indirect change going into his favor. We've had Twisted Fate in our mid lane B tier for the majority of Season 12, but a push up into A tier is in order to start Season 13. It should really be no surprise at all that Kassadin is the standalone OP carry for 13.1. Rod and Seraph's buffs are huge for Kassadin, and we expect to see him be targeted with nerfs in 13.2. We mentioned in our previous tier list how Karma mid has been on the rise, and in a super good spot with a Radiant Virtue Rush. Our challenger mid laner Shari went ahead and completed a full game commentary detailing this new Karma mid if you guys are interested in learning the pick. Watch out for Rod and Seraph's mid laners to see a nice spike in power for 13.1. Cassio, Anivia, and Kassadin are three who have already been solid performers in recent patches, so they will be great pickups this patch without question. The top 3 low elo mid lane carries of the patch are Swain, Malzahar, and Heimerdinger. Kassadin, Vex, and Zed are all really good bans. Some minor buffs to Xayah's base stats are the only ADC buffs to 13.1. Xayah's base attack speed is going from 0.625 to 0.658. Attack speed ratio is up by the exact same amount, from 0.625 to 0.658. Xayah has not actually been in a terrible spot prior to these buffs, being a fringe A-tier pick, so these changes will look to solidify her as a good A-tier champ to start Season 13. If you're someone who is still building Infinity Edge instead of Quick Blades on Xayah, then look to make the swap over. Quick Blades users are winning about 2% more than Infinity Edge ever since the item changes from a few patches back. A few follow-up Zeri nerfs are hitting the Rift as she's being spammed once again in the higher elos. AD growth is going from 1.5 to 1.3. Q damage is down from 15 scaling to 27 to 15 scaling to 23. So nothing that affects Zeri throughout the early laning phase, but 5 damage off on Q at max rank will come into full effect at level 9. By no means are these changes a killing blow to Zeri, but any chance she had of moving up into S tier has been spoiled. A tier is where Zeri will be placed on the tier list. ADC is one of the more interesting roles right now because unlike mid where there is just one pick dominating the meta, ADC has many good champions around the same power level. In the OP tier is Twitch, Tristana, Kai'Sa, and Samira. To be fair though, the S tier champions are not even that far below the OP picks, so any champ in S or OP are amazing to start Season 13. Instead of highlighting which picks are good for ADC, it's probably easier to single out the champs you shouldn't be playing. Aphelios, Kalista, and Sivir are a few that are definitively a cut below the rest of the competition and should be avoided by the majority of players. Top 3 low elo carries of the patch are Tristana, Misfortune, and Ziggs. Draven, Kai'Sa, and Samira are on top of the ban list for ADC. The final change of the patch is a nice treat to start off Season 13 as Riot will waste no time in issuing their first Yuumi nerf. Q damage is going from 50 scaling to 250 to 50 scaling to 200. Empower damage is down as well from 60 scaling to 310 to 60 scaling to 260. So nothing that impacts Yuumi throughout the first 3 levels, but from then on out, and especially at level 9, you're going to feel this one. 50 damage off at max rank is a hefty nerf and will push Yuumi even further down the tier list. Stay away from the cat if you care to climb, as she will be moving from B and into C tier for 13.1. The tier list for support features a plethora of exceptionally strong picks, as we have Amumu, Heimerdinger, Blitzcrank, Maokai, and Janna in the OP tier. Watch out for Sona this patch, as she's an enchanter that can build both Rod of Ages and Archangels. With both items being buffed, Sona could very well be looking to make a move into OP tier for our mid-patch update, but we'll have to see how impactful the item changes are. Taric will never get the recognition he deserves, but if you enjoy those underrated picks, Taric will be a great option in 13.1 with those Winter's Approach buffs. The top 3 low elo champions for support are Brand, Heimerdinger, and Zyra. Amumu, Blitzcrank, and Heimer are the supports who should be banned the most. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into Elo Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that's going to wrap everything up for our very first tier list of Season 13. Good luck out there in solo queue, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you back soon.